Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Andrew Moran, Dave Patterson, Graham Noble, and John Clark. And this is the Conservative Five, an online TV news production of Liberty Nation News. It appears the minions inside corporate America are running scared about being found out that they are embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion schemes. As the saying goes, go woke, go broke. And the numbers bear this out. Are the rumors of DEI's death greatly exaggerated? Or is corporate wokeism preparing for a burial ceremony? It would appear that companies proudly embracing diversity hires a few years ago have decided it's not in their best interest to continue the practice. And I kind of want to know what's going on. Can you fill us in on the latest, Andrew?
If you invested $10,000 in Disney stock 10 years ago, you would have $10,000. If you invested $10,000 in Harley Davidson 12 years ago, you would have $10,000. If you invested $10,000 in Anheuser-Busch stock, the owner of Bud Light 10 years ago, you would have $10,000. Now, what do these companies have in common? Well, they all have gone woke in some form or another, whether championing the 2S LGBTQIA community or embracing DEI. Now, this whole conversation about DEI wokeism started after Lowe's was the latest companies have been discovered to have gone full DEI. There's a conservative activist named Robbie Starbuck. He's widely popular on X, and he claimed on X that he got Lowe's to dial back its whole woke policies before even publishing his reports. He apparently reached out to them about his discoveries beforehand, and then someone from the company reached out to him, and they said, "Oh, this we're now going to scale back our whole diversity, equity, inclusion, joy, all that nonsense." But why? They fear the backlash that would inevitably occur. You saw John Deere, another recent example of this. That's another company that announced they were pulling back its whole DIA nonsense due to, quote, feedback. Now, what's interesting about this whole saga is that if you look at polling, a few years ago, many Americans would have said, yeah, they want companies to declare their positions on current events of the day. Nowadays, according to recent studies, including a Gallup Bentley University study, found that fewer Americans, including Democrats, minorities, and young people, want companies to declare their opinions on news of the day. It's this whole idea from Michael Jordan back in the day when he said, Republicans buy sneakers too. So you're dealing with the whole cascading effect of DI going the way of ESG. Perhaps rumors of its death are greatly exaggerated, but the evidence is pointing to its demise.
Is it designed to fail, Clark?
Oh, I thought that was the most loaded part of your question. I think it's a very loaded question. I don't know. It will fail. The idea or question that it's designed to fail. Do you think that the erosion of the currency is designed to create inflation? That the borders are open because they're designed to be open? That we're aggravating racial relations by design? I would hope not. Critical race theory, which is the background of this, is still a theory which is being proven pretty obviously to be built on falsehoods and have nothing to offer other than to rub new salt in old wounds and really create a lot of problems. I think we see DEI in a presidential run and what the consequence is when you elevate skin color above merit. I'm already DEI. I mean, I'm Jewish, Abenaki, German, Belgian. I think I'm already a melted pot. The idea that by bringing people in from multi-ethnic backgrounds automatically yields you improved outcomes is absolutely ludicrous, ultimate racism, and that's why it's failing. Now, Andrew, who did a great presentation, I think, addressing the economic aspects, he's hit on something. I, as a customer, 30 years, I bought organic seeds from a company in Maine called Fedco. Now they've gone woke. They're setting part of the proceeds aside for Indians. Being part Abenaki, I don't really like this company in Maine exploiting my family's history to try to sell more of its products. I'm not going to buy it ever again. If they stop their woke Bud Light stuff, I'm not going to buy it anymore. I'll never trust them again. When I go to the bank, TD Bank has now gone woke. And I go to take a withdrawal and I'm told about how they support all transgender people. There are actually a bunch of people that think that transgender surgeries in Vermont are not good for children. And so maybe another bank should have a message about how horrible this is. I'm not going to the bank to be preached to. corporations have become moral churches, and it's failing for them because that was never their business model, and they're going to have to choose which one they are. And that's why I think DEI, whether intended to or not, is destined to fail. It's a horrible, toxic ideology.
Well, Dave, do you think that maybe all of these corporate cases are simply embracing DEI to appease folks and not really thinking about their bottom line? I don't understand the corporate woke. I mean, we already have, laws in place where you can't discriminate. So what is this even doing?
Well, I think it's very simple. I mean, it's a business decision, and the business decision was originally, if you start to pull the thread back, it was had its origin in a McKinsey study that said companies that embrace DEI do better, they're more productive, and their profit margin is higher. That has been proved recently to be absolutely false. No one could ever duplicate that particular research. It's just a sham. And not only that, but to go further into this notion of business decisions, large lending corporations base their lending decisions on companies that could demonstrate a large or a high ESG score. Well, when that starts to happen, whether or not you like it or whether you want to embrace it or not, you have to make a decision that's going to help your stockholders. And if you can't get loans, well, that is a problem. But effectively now the curtain has been pulled back and people are ditching these nonsense programs and for good, sane business reasons, because either the company's lost its corporate mind and its clients understand that, and they're favoring other products, as John suggested he would do. Or what is somewhat worse is that they're abandoning the DEI programs because they favor a system that selects employees that actually know what they're doing and that are willing to turn out a quality job. That is particularly important when you're looking at companies who have products that we base our lives on. For example, airplane companies and airlines, you'd want the best possible pilots and you want the best possible
Secret
workers.
Service?
And perhaps the Secret Service. At least you want people who can get their sidearm back in its holster. That was pathetic.
That was kind of
How about that NASA training video that told the astronauts you have to be guilty for your white supremacy? Meanwhile, they're stuck up in space and they can't get down because of this. Because these people are focusing more on the DEI than anything else that really matters in our world.
What is the downside risk for companies who reduce or rid themselves of the DEI grip? Are they gonna get hammered or are they gonna, flourish? Graham?
I don't really believe that there is much of a downside risk. I mean, they're gonna, for a while, they're gonna be the object of the irate progressives who are going to start, saying that those corporations now suddenly are magically run by a bunch of fascists or whatever. But no, I don't think economically, I don't think there's a downside at all to getting rid of these DEI programs. Although I suspect that some of these companies will never rid themselves completely of these programs. And here's why: because DEI has actually become, it began as what we used to call virtue signaling. That's what these companies were doing originally. They were saying, oh, aren't we wonderful because we send part of our profits to groups that are helping the environment, or, picking up the trash off the beaches, or indigenous women who are subject of domestic violence or whatever. There's some cause, and it was virtual signaling. But then someone along the line figured out that DEI actually there was big money. The DEI itself became a big money industry. And so, and of course, now you've got some of these corporations also are being, some of their executives or middle upper management people are people who've come out of college already brainwashed into believing that DEI is the only way to save the planet from white supremacy. So I think they'll have a hard time getting rid of it. And I think in a lot of cases, some of these companies will push these DEI programs into the background. They still might be kind of humming away quietly in the background, but they'll but they won't make a big deal about it. They won't want people to know that they're still doing it.
I think one of the consequences that we've seen is, of course, the most famous of the DEI blunders with Bud Light losing billions of dollars. The company finally, I guess, unloaded that marketing moron.
Okay, I think that's time to close. The sweet smell of rebellion, we all love it. Are too many companies defaulting to check the box efforts, such as leading to performative rather than substantive DEI programs? Or is everybody getting tired of the grip DEI has on the bottom line? We don't know, but we sure have opinions. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks, panel. Well, that's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Please note, LibertyNation.com does not endorse candidates, campaigns, or legislation, and this presentation is no endorsement. So check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation News has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. I'm your host, Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today for Free Thinking, Free Speech, LibertyNation.com.